Welcome to Relaxed Reddit Readings. Today we have 5 Reddit stories for you. Reddit stories that will make you say, no way. Story 1. I hid my girlfriend's dead snake from her for one day. So my girlfriend's pet snake died right before the most important trip of her life, and I had to decide whether to tell her. Okay, let me back up. My girlfriend is 26, I'm 22, and she has this really rocky relationship with her family. Like, genuinely difficult growing up, and she's spent years trying to rebuild bridges with them. Finally, her brother invites her to his birthday party overseas, this whole 3-day thing, and she is so excited. This is huge for her. This is the kind of family moment she's been craving for years. Now here's the problem. The night before she's supposed to be at this party, I find out that her pet hognose snake, who she's had for a long time, passed away. And look, we kind of knew it was coming. He was old, he'd been declining. It wasn't a total shock. But it still hits hard, you know. She loves this snake. So I'm sitting there, it's like the middle of the night for me because of the time difference, and I'm thinking, do I call her right now and tell her? Because if I do, I know exactly what happens. She's going to be devastated, she's not going to sleep, and she's going to walk into her brother's birthday party tomorrow an emotional wreck. This event that she has been waiting for, hoping for, needing for her relationship with her family, is going to get overshadowed by grief. And it's not like telling her sooner brings the snake back. The snake is gone either way. So I made a decision. I decided I was going to wait. I was going to let her have this one day, let her enjoy her brother's party, be present with her family, and then when she got back or at the end of the day, I would sit her down and tell her gently. I didn't hide the fact that something was wrong, I just didn't say what. I figured, worst case, she finds out I knew for a few hours before I told her. Best case, she gets to have one good, unclouded day with the family she's worked so hard to reconnect with. But then I started second-guessing myself. What if she found out later that I knew and sat on it? Would she feel betrayed? Would she feel like I made a decision about her own emotions without her consent? Because that's kind of what I did, right? I decided for her that she'd rather have the happy day than the truth. Some of my friends said I did the right thing, that it was compassionate, that there was nothing to be gained by telling her in the middle of the night before a flight. But then my sister said something that stuck with me. She said, what if the snake dying wasn't the only thing wrong, what if your girlfriend needed to process this in her own way, on her own timeline, and you took that choice away from her because you decided you knew better? That got me thinking. Because I didn't ask her, hey, if something bad happened right before a big trip, would you want to know immediately or would you want me to wait? I just assumed. And I think most of us assume when it comes to people we love, we think we know what's best for them in the moment. But grief is such a personal thing. Some people want to know immediately no matter what. Some people would be furious if they found out later that they were kept in the dark during what should have been a happy moment. I haven't told her yet as I'm writing this. The party is basically happening right now. So I'm sitting here just hoping I made the right call. Would you have wanted to know right away, even if it ruined the moment? Or would you rather have had the one good day? If you're enjoying these stories, hit that like button and let me know in the comments which story you relate to the most. Story 2. I left my best friend at the airport after her third no-show. So I left my best friend standing at airport security while our flight was boarding, and I have zero regrets. Let me give you the backstory though, because this wasn't some spur-of-the-moment petty thing. Me and my friend, she's 28, planned this trip together months in advance. Nothing crazy, just a long weekend getaway, but we had flights booked forever ago, hotel booked, the whole itinerary planned out. Now here's the thing about her. She has a history. And I mean a history of being late. She's flaked on dinner reservations before. She made us miss the opening act at a concert once because she could not get out the door on time. Normally, whatever, low stakes, I let it go, I'm a pretty chill person. But before this trip, I sat her down and I was very direct with her. I said, look, this is a flight, not a dinner reservation, we cannot be late for this, if you are not there on time we are going to miss it, there is no wiggle room, please, please be on time. She swore up and down she would be there. She said she understood, she said this time was different because it was a flight and not just us being annoyed at a restaurant. So the day comes. We're supposed to meet at the airport 2 hours before boarding, which honestly is already generous. I get there on time like I always do. She is nowhere to be found. I text her, no response. I call her, straight to voicemail. 20 minutes go by. 30 minutes. I'm sitting there watching the clock, watching our boarding window get smaller and smaller. Finally, with like 15 minutes before they close the gate, she comes running through security, out of breath, apologizing, saying her alarm didn't go off, or traffic, or something. I honestly don't even remember what excuse she gave because I've heard variations of it so many times before. And I looked at her and I said, we're not going to make it if we wait for you to get through security and everything, and I am not missing this flight. And I got on the plane. Without her. She missed it. She had to book a new flight, pay extra fees, and she showed up to the destination almost a full day later than planned, having spent way more money than she needed to. And obviously, she was livid. She called me heartless, she said a real friend would have waited, she said I abandoned her in an airport in a different city like some kind of villain. Her family got involved too, some of them saying I should have at least waited to see if she could rebook something faster, or helped her figure it out before just leaving. But here's my thing. I told her explicitly beforehand. I told her this wasn't like the dinner thing, this was a flight with a hard cutoff. She agreed. She promised. And she still showed up late for the third time in our friendship, this time with actual consequences that weren't just my annoyance. I didn't leave her in some dangerous situation, she was in an airport, in her own country, with money and a phone and the ability to book another flight, which she did. She wasn't stranded. She was just inconvenienced in the way that maybe she needed to be inconvenienced for once, so it might actually sink in. My mom thinks I was too harsh, that I should have found some kind of middle ground. But honestly, at what point does giving someone grace become just enabling the same behavior over and over? I don't think this makes me a bad friend, I think this makes me someone who finally stopped absorbing the consequences of someone else's chronic lateness. So tell me, was I supposed to miss my own flight to babysit a grown woman who broke her promise for the third time? Story 3. My mother-in-law kept posting our baby online so I cut her off. So my mother-in-law has been secretly posting pictures of my baby online for months, and when I found out, I banned her from seeing her granddaughter. Let me explain how we got here. My husband and I are both 31, we have a 6-month-old daughter, and before she was even born, we sat down and agreed on something important to us. We didn't want identifiable photos of our baby posted publicly on social media. This isn't some rare, controversial thing anymore, plenty of parents feel this way now, worried about privacy, worried about who has access to images of their kid, worried about the internet just being what it is. So we explained this boundary clearly to both sides of the family before she was even born. We said, take pictures for yourselves, keep them for personal memories, show them to people in person if you want, but please ask us before posting anything online, especially anything that shows her face clearly. My side of the family, no problem, they respected it immediately, didn't even question it. My mother-in-law though, she disagreed from the very beginning. She kept saying grandparents should be allowed to proudly show off their grandchildren, that it's a normal, natural thing to do, that we were being overly paranoid and controlling. We told her, again, calmly, that this wasn't a debate, this was a boundary, and we needed her to respect it like everyone else in the family had. She said she understood. She said she'd be careful. Fast forward a few months, and I'm scrolling through Facebook, and I see a photo. It's my daughter's face, clear as day, tagged with her name, posted publicly, with some caption about being the proudest grandma in the world. My stomach just dropped. I checked her profile more thoroughly and found this wasn't a one-time thing. There were multiple posts going back weeks, some with just as much personal detail, her name, her age, photos from we specifically remember telling her not to share. I brought it up to my husband immediately, and he was just as upset as I was. This was his mother after all, and he'd specifically had a private conversation with her about this exact thing before. So together we called her, and we told her that because she repeatedly and knowingly violated a boundary we had set clearly multiple times, she would not be seeing our daughter in person for a while. Not forever necessarily, but until we could trust that she understood we were serious. And oh, she lost it. She cried, she called us cruel, she said we were keeping her grandchild from her over nothing, that we were punishing her for loving her granddaughter too much. She even got some other family members to call us and say we were being extreme, that this was just how grandparents are, that we should let it go since it's not like she's a stranger posting these photos. But here's the thing that bothers me most. It's not that she posted a photo once by accident or forgot the rule one time. It's that we told her directly, multiple times, and she kept doing it anyway, like our wishes just didn't matter as much as her desire to show off online. If she can't respect a boundary about something as serious as our child's privacy and safety, what confidence do we have that she'll respect other boundaries as our daughter gets older? My husband stood firmly beside me on this, which honestly means everything, because I know it's not easy to go against your own mother. But we both feel like this is about consistency and being taken seriously as parents. So tell me, is cutting off access too harsh a consequence, or was this exactly the wake-up call she needed? Story 4. I accidentally gave a Verizon rep way more than my Wi-Fi password. So a door-to-door salesman came into my house, and by the time he left, I had somehow signed up for services I never agreed to. Okay, so here's what happened. A Verizon rep knocks on my door, and normally I'd just say no thanks and close the door, but he seemed friendly, and honestly, I have a huge weakness that I am fully aware of. I cannot say no to salespeople. Like, it's almost a problem. So instead of turning him away, I invite him in to hear his pitch, thinking, what's the harm, I'll just listen politely and say no at the end. He starts telling me about this deal, how I could save on Wi-Fi and streaming services, and it genuinely sounded like a really good offer, like $90 a month cheaper than what we were currently paying with our other provider. And somewhere in the middle of this sales pitch, we just started talking. Like really talking. About cats, because he noticed we had cat stuff around the house. About the NBA, because there was a game on in the background. About being foreigners, because it turns out we're both from other countries originally. It turned into this whole friendly, casual conversation, and I genuinely was enjoying it. He was a nice guy. But here's the thing, I was very clear from the start. I told him, look, I love this deal, it sounds great, but I cannot make any decisions without talking to my husband first. This is a joint decision, our whole household internet and streaming setup, I'm not signing anything today. He said, totally understood, no pressure. So we keep chatting, and at some point he asks something like, oh, could I just see how strong your Wi-Fi signal is in different parts of the house, just to check compatibility for the new setup. And I'm just standing there, comfortable, chatting away, and I just tell him the password. Didn't even think twice about it, we were talking about cats 2 minutes before, it felt like such an innocent request. He goes around the house a bit, comes back, and says everything looks great, this deal is going to work perfectly for our house. And I again say, okay, but I need to talk to my husband first before anything is finalized. He leaves. A few days later, my husband is going through our accounts and finds out we've been signed up for a new plan, a new streaming bundle, some additional device leasing charges, all under our name, all somehow already active. I about had a heart attack. Turns out, giving him the Wi-Fi password apparently gave him enough access or verification to finalize some part of the sign-up process remotely, or at least that's my working theory, because I sure didn't sign a single document while he was here. My husband was furious, not really at me, but at the situation, though he did give me the whole, you have got to stop inviting salespeople into the house and telling them our passwords. And honestly, he's right. I told this story to my sister, and she couldn't stop laughing. She said I basically got scammed by charm and small talk about cats. And now I'm just sitting here wondering how much information you're really giving away when you let your guard down for a friendly conversation. It felt so harmless in the moment. He never pressured me, never made me feel unsafe. It was just easy, comfortable talking that led to me handing over something I shouldn't have. So tell me, was I the fool here for chatting too much, or is this really on the company for training reps to work this smoothly? Story 5. My parents scolded me for refusing a $50 Last Supper commission. So a friend of my parents handed me $50 and told me to paint him a full recreation of the Last Supper with 13 recognizable figures, and when I said that price was way too low, my own parents took his side. Let me set the scene. This guy is a friend of my parents, older gentleman, and without really asking me first, without any real conversation about pricing or scope, he just hands me $50 and says, "Draw something for me." That's it. Just, draw something. So I'm a little confused, but I say, "Yeah, sure, what do you want exactly?" And this is where it gets wild. He says he wants a full illustration of the Last Supper. Not a simple sketch, a full illustration, with 13 religious figures at the table, all interacting with each other, and every single one of them has to be clearly recognizable as who they're supposed to be. So we're talking Jesus and all 12 apostles, each with distinct, identifiable features, interacting naturally with each other, in a composed scene. Do you understand how much work that actually is? That's not a quick sketch, that's basically a full-scale, multi-figure composition that would take real professional artists days, if not longer, to complete properly, with research into traditional depictions, careful composition planning, individual character work for 13 separate figures. This is the kind of piece that historically, actual masters spent enormous amounts of time on. So I looked at him and I said, $50 is really low for a piece like this. And he was shocked. Genuinely shocked, like he could not comprehend why I would say that. And then, instead of my parents backing me up, they scolded me. They actually took his side and told me I was being ungrateful, or difficult, or that I should just be happy someone wants my art at all. And that stung, honestly, more than the guy's reaction did, because I expect random people to not understand the value of creative work, but I expect my own parents to at least respect my time and my skill. This is such a common thing in the art world, and I think a lot of people watching this who do any kind of creative work will relate. People see a finished piece of art and they think, "Oh, that's just some lines and colors, how hard can it be, here's $50, and they have absolutely no concept of the hours, the skill development over years, the actual technical difficulty of what they're asking for. If this guy had asked for a simple line drawing of a cross or something small and quick, $50 might have actually been fair. But a full detailed illustration of one of the most depicted scenes in art history, with 13 individually recognizable figures, interacting in a believable way. That's not a $50 job, that's not even close. I ended up refusing the commission at that price, told him I'd be happy to do it for a fair rate that reflected the actual work involved, but he didn't want to hear it, and my parents kept bringing it up afterward, saying I ruined a nice gesture, that I should have just done him a favor since he's their friend. But since when is being asked to work for a fraction of what your time is worth a favor I owe someone just because my parents know them? I get that art can feel intangible to people who don't do it, but skill and time still cost something no matter the medium. So tell me, was I wrong for refusing to basically work for pennies just because it made things awkward for my parents? If you enjoyed these stories, drop a comment telling me which one was your favorite. And if you want more relaxed Reddit readings, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these stories, like, comment and subscribe for more relaxed Reddit readings.